It was a Saturday morning, one of those sharp, clear days when the sun feels like it's waking up the whole block, and there I was standing barefoot on my porch, coffee mug in hand, watching Karen's silver SUV roll right through my side yard as if my lawn was just some shortcut she owned by birthright. Didn't even get a warning honk or so much as an apologetic wave, just that soft crunch of wet grass under her tires and this little smirk she tossed my way through the window like she knew I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She parked in front of her friend's house, clicked her key fob, and strode away like nothing in the world could touch her. Not a hint of embarrassment. My dog barked. She tossed over her shoulder, adjusting those knockoff sunglasses, never missing a beat. Now, I'd like to say I let it slide, but the thing is that old fence on that side had come down after last winter's storm. I'd meant to fix it, really, but life gets in the way. For a while, I'd chalked up the muddy tire tracks to delivery guys or meter readers, never guessed it was Karen, queen of HOA gossip and Pilates, rolling through like she had the title deed. You know what I mean? At first I figured it was a one-time fluke. Folks make mistakes. I'd just ask her about it. She'd apologize, we'd laugh, and that would be that. Wrong. When I walked over that evening, she hit me with this syrupy, sweet, almost condescending smile. "Oh, honey, I've always done that. It's just faster than going around." "You don't mind, do you?" I actually laughed, thinking she had to be joking. "Yeah, actually I do mind. That's my property, not a drive-through." She blinked at me like I just started speaking ancient Greek and said, "Well, it's not like you were using it." Then she disappeared inside like she'd just dismissed a waiter for bringing the wrong wine. Next morning, new tire tracks, 2 sets this time, and a big muddy smear where she'd clipped the edge of my garden bed. That was it for me. I set up a big, ugly orange construction barrier, strung it with reflective tape, made it as obvious as I could. Thought surely that would get the message across. It lasted all of 6 hours. I came home that afternoon to find it flat and one leg snapped in half, lying 20 feet away like it'd been hit by a monster truck. Her SUV was parked sparkling right where it shouldn't be. I called out to her, asked why she drove over the barrier. She just shrugged, said it was in the way. You ever met someone so entitled you run out of words? I called the sheriff's non-emergency line. Deputy comes out, takes a look, shrugs, and says, "Civil matter. You can file a complaint." Karen stood behind him, arms folded, looking like she'd memorized every HOA rule, never mind I wasn't even a member property grandfathered out. Didn't stop her from threatening to report me for whatever violation she could invent. Now here's where the story takes a turn. Jim, my neighbor 2 doors down, old property lawyer, sees me venting on the porch and says, "Want me to look at your deed?" He shows up with a stack of yellowed papers, flips through, and grins. "You've got full lateral coverage along the east side. No easement. She's trespassing. You can put up a real barrier and any damage is on her." That feeling when you realize you've been right all along. That spark of righteous energy. Yeah, that's what I felt. So I went all in. Filed a property line notice, put up new fence posts with bright yellow stakes every 5 feet, even little reflective flags. This wasn't a fence anymore, it was a declaration. The next weekend, I watched her roll up, squint at the flags, and then with zero hesitation, drive straight through. Snapped one of the new posts right off. She got out furious, yelling that I was harassing her and blocking the only way to her friend's house. I told her as calmly as I could that it wasn't access, it was trespass. I even handed her the laminated survey. She waved it away. "I don't care what your little map says. I've always used this path. That makes it public." Yeah, that happened. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about convenience. For Karen, it was about control, about never being told no. She threatened a war over a patch of grass. Lucky for me, Jim stepped out with a camera and a smile. She shrieked about privacy, but I told her, "You lost that when you drove through my yard." She stomped off, but not before flattening another flag for good measure. 2 days later, I'd reinforced the fence, added cameras, and started a civil complaint. Jim helped with the paperwork, grinning like it was just another Tuesday. "Judges care about receipts, not volume," he said. and I knew I was in the right. But did that slow her down? Nope. Next weekend, Karen upped the ante. 3 SUVs in a row, one with a trailer all parked diagonal across my yard, flattening tomato plants I just put in. When I confronted her, she told me it's just for a couple hours. Don't be dramatic. Prove it's illegal. So I called the sheriff. Her friends trashed my garden, broke a solar light, laughed like it was all one big joke. Deputy warned her, told me to build a better fence. You ever get that feeling where you're so mad you're actually calm? That was me. I went inside and started researching driveway barriers, remote-operated tire shredders, the works. If Karen wanted to treat my yard like a street, she was about to get a speed bump she'd never forget. While I waited for the installation, Karen called the county to report unpermitted structures. Inspector came, took one look, laughed, left. She left a note claiming prescriptive rights. Jim just about choked on his tea. That takes 10 years, he said, not 10 weeks. I put up a new sign, private property. Trespassers will have tires damaged. Added smile, you're on camera. Karen stormed over, phone waving, shouting harassment. I told her, not a threat, a promise of consequences, that flicker of doubt on her face, priceless. The next day, the gate was installed, industrial retractable spike option ready, all perfectly legal. At 9:37 a.m., like clockwork, Karen's SUV appeared. I waited, thumbed the remote. The spikes rose and she plowed right into them. Loud pops, hissing air, her face pure disbelief. She jumped out, heels, sinking in mud, ranting about lawsuits and vengeance. The tow driver saw the sign and the video, just shook his head. I didn't even need to call the sheriff. The wreck spoke for itself. Karen vanished for 2 days after that, the neighborhood whispering like it was waiting for the next shoe to drop. You'd think it'd be over, but Karen regrouped. Letter from the HOA, even though I'm not a member, about aggressive deterrence. Jim and I sent a polite reply with the relevant legal exemption highlighted. A few days later, Karen showed up with 2 HOA board ladies pointing at my gate like it was a war crime. I offered them coffee, showed the footage, they left without comment. Next thing I know, Susan from across the street tells me Karen's spreading rumors about poisoned grass and chemical warfare. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the pie Susan brought as a peace offering. Enough was enough. I made flyers, maps, deeds, surveillance, screenshots, a polite explanation of the legal boundaries, and put one in every mailbox. Most people didn't say much, but one neighbor sent a thank you note about how Karen once tried to make him cut his tree for sunset rights. For a few blissful days, things were quiet. No more tire tracks, no more parties. And then one morning I caught Karen, garden rake in hand, trying to pry off a warning sign. I pointed at the camera, called the sheriff, who issued her a citation for vandalism. That plus the civil case seemed to finally do the trick. Her SUV sulked in the driveway, the for sale sign popped up in her yard, and just like that, poof, she was gone. When the moving truck left, the neighborhood let out this collective sigh. Coffee with Jim tasted sweeter. Susan's pie, still store-bought, was suddenly welcome. Pete walked his dog past my yard with a wave. I planted new tomatoes, hung a little sign, private property shortcut, closed, wildflower restoration zone. And wouldn't you know it, the world didn't end. The mountain didn't crumble, and peace, actual honest peace, settled over my porch. If there's a lesson here, maybe it's this: boundaries matter. And sometimes you have to defend them, not out of spite, but out of respect for yourself and your community. So tell me, after all that, where do you stand? Was I right to push back, or did I take it too far? Drop your take below. Because in every neighborhood, justice isn't always black and white, and sometimes the grass really is greener on the other side of the line.